Baltimore. Then I'll see you in heaven. And as you
95 South,
I'll breathe
95 North, nigga. Niggas better ride by this X.
Hey everybody, welcome to the second edition of the Birdtown Sports Hour. I'm Evan Pachado here with Brent Moreland, back to with you guys again. Hey everybody. Busy day in the NFL. College football yesterday, World Series Game 4 and Game 5 about to start. So busy day all around sports. Got a lot to get to, got about an hour to do it. So let's get to it right now. Very frustrating game for the Ravens. Battled with it the entire time. Yeah, very, very frustrating. Came with it the entire time, had the lead going into the 2-minute warning and did not come out with it. A lot of things went into that, but needless to say, it didn't work out in our favor. Let's start dissecting that right now. Brent, start it off.
All right, well, as you know, Ravens lose 27-24, led up an end of the game drive to the Bengals. Definitely frustrating. The Ravens could have jumped to 6-2, went 3-1 division, and sort of almost bury the Bengals. But it didn't happen. A lot of things caused that. I'm mostly disappointed in Joe Flacco's play. I know you're not, but got to do better. 17-34, 195, 2 picks.
I understand. Flacco threw 2 picks. Both looked very bad. One was very bad. The other one kind of looked like a pass interference on hit Torrey Smith. But needless to say, Flacco did not have his best game, not even close. But there was a lot of things that went into it. Aiken dropped the touchdown early on. That
hurt. Yep.
On 4th and goal, went from 7 points to none. A lot of things went into it. Steve Smith deep bomb. Why not just get into that right now? Let's beat around the bush. Was that a pass interference?
It's tough. By rule, I guess it was. He used his hands to push off to create separation, but it was so ticky-tacky, man.
Yeah. I think
other way around, I would have wanted to be called if it was against the Ravens. I can't blame the game on that one call, though. There's too much that went into it.
I agree. There's a lot of things that went into it. Like I said, Flacco didn't have a bad game. Ravens gave up, 70-yard, 75-yard run or drive to get the lead.
Yeah.
There was a lot that went into it, but that hurt. When that happened and I saw the flag, it really hurt. But like
Definitely
I said, there's a lot yeah, a lot of injuries. Jimmy Smith out. Doesn't know how long he'll be out for, but that'll hurt because with him, you got Franks in the game. That does not help at all.
Oof, he was terrible today.
Franks does not know where he is in the field. Webb's still battling injuries. So without Jimmy Smith, who's, in my opinion, probably a top 10 cornerback in the game right now, having him out for, doesn't know, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, who knows, maybe after the bye, that's going to hurt for a while. But like I said, there's a lot went into it. I don't know if it's all on Joe. He didn't help his cause, but he threw a bomb to Steve Smith that he caught and thought was a touchdown. But
he's got to play better.
He has to play better. He doesn't throw for 200 yards and 2 picks. I mean, so like I said,
there's a trend going on in all 3 of our losses this year, and it's been that Joe's been bad. He was terrible week 1 against Cincy, terrible against Indy, and terrible today. He actually didn't even play well last week versus Atlanta, but Atlanta's just such a bad team. We were able to pull that out. He's got to be more consistent. I don't expect him to play every game like he did versus Tampa Bay. That was insane. Or like he did versus Pittsburgh, but he's got to be more consistent, especially with that contract.
Absolutely, and I don't want to talk about that contract because that has nothing to do with his performance on the play. You can't judge somebody by its contract because now you look at Kaepernick and makes more than Joe. So like I said, when Joe made his money, he was number 1, but by the time he gets his next contract, he'll be probably middle of the pack at best. Like you said, the Ravens need to focus on finishing drives. A couple of stats from the first half. They were 48 of 140. 48 of their 140 total yards on Malcolm Sanu's reception. So a third of that's what I saw. Sorry, Mohamed Sanu. A third of their total yards came on Sanu's long reception. So defense did well to control the game. Other than that, only about 100 yards of total offense for the Bengals in the first half. One other stat: 24 of 35 plays what the Ravens ran in the first half were in Cincinnati territory. So much more than half ran in Cincinnati territory. They dominated the playing field. They just did not finish what they needed to finish.
They did a good job shutting down Giovanni Bernard.
Oh, they did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They did. Yeah.
Frustrating loss.
It was because it shows that Bengals are not that good of a team. We dominated in many facets of the game, just not the final score, and that's going to hurt. Losing 2 games to the team that is probably the favorites to win the AFC North. It makes it very tough to win the division. It looks like a wild card is probably their best bet, but who knows? Lot to be played. Still 8 games left, so
Yeah,
lots to be
next week
played.
it's very scary now.
Yeah, next week against the Steelers is a very big game because, like we said, they showed it off against the Colts this week, and the Ravens did not quite do as much as they needed to. So next week it should be a bounce back for the Ravens. The Steelers are trying to prove that this week was not a fluke. A lot goes into that. It's always tough to play at Heinz Field, so that is going to be a big game. Big game. Hopefully Joe can come back and maybe Ben Roethlisberger come back to life. Who knows? Let's hope it goes one way. Anything else you want to talk about in that game before we get around the NFL and many other facets of sports this weekend?
Not really.
No, we pretty much hit on all aspects. The end of the game was frustrating. Time management.
Oh, I do want to mention Harbaugh. That I don't agree. He has to be the worst head coach when it comes to managing the clock in the league. I mean, he's won a lot here, but he has been absolutely terrible managing the clock with timeouts throughout his time here.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Within the 10-yard line, you knew they were probably have a good shot at getting a touchdown. Might as well call a timeout, and at worst, you get them on 4 downs. If not, you give your offense at least more than 59 seconds.
Yeah, they burned the clock down. If they would have stopped Cincy and they could have punted. So.
Yep, absolutely. It was much more than that. I completely agree. So yeah, a lot of injuries. Like we said, Torrey Smith went out for a little while, came back in. There was a lot of injuries that went into it, so it'll be tough to see where they go. Campanaro, who showed off very well in the first half of the game, was out with a hamstring. We'll see if he comes back. But like I said, for a 7th-round pick, he's looked good. But without further ado, let's move on from that game. We'll talk about that again on Thursday. Let's move around the NFL. A lot of good games this week. Tough games to pick. A lot of close games. But let's start early on. Thursday night, San Diego went into Denver. Denver showed that they probably are the best team in the NFL, winning 35-21. Let's talk about that, Brent.
They're good. They're the best team right now, in my opinion.
In the NFL,
yeah, absolutely. Emmanuel Sanders, he's proven to be a huge addition. They're not missing Eric Decker one bit. Ronnie Hillman looks great. I don't think he's giving that job back to Monty Ball when he gets healthy. They're just firing all cylinders right now.
Yep, they are. They show that they're the team to beat. They were last year until they won the Super Bowl, but like you said, they're all around the best quarterback in the NFL probably right now. Not probably, is right now. Just controls the game too well. Too many weapons on offense. Defense, they're not the best defensive team in the NFL, but they do enough with the offense they have to prove that they are the best team in the NFL, not only the AFC. Let's move to the game that feels like 4 days ago. Was this morning, about 9 hours ago. Like I said, we're doing a podcast at around 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. So we had the game this morning, Detroit, 9:30 in the morning, going to Atlanta. Not going to Atlanta, going to Wembley in London. Detroit pulling it off after being down 21-0 at half. What do you think about that game, Brett?
I gave this game as my lock of the week, and I was wrong. Pretty disappointed. Atlanta came out 21-0 first half. Detroit looked terrible. But that defensive line started creating some pressure in the second half. Matt Ryan without Calvin, he's just not good. That's a nice way of putting it, right?
Yeah, like you said, Calvin Johnson's been his crutch since he came into the league.
I will say, Golden Tate, guy's legit.
Golden Tate, he's good. I don't think he's that great. I don't think he's top tier yet. I think, like I said, their offense just is a hurl and throw kind of offense, and Golden Tate does well in that offense. But
yeah, he's the best yards after catch in the league right now.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good receiver. He was good with the Seahawks. Like I said, Stafford, Calvin Johnson's been his crutch. I don't think they're much without him, and they don't have really much of a defense, even though they have been the best defense in the NFL this year. I don't know if that's just a coincidence or what.
They don't have much of a defense. You might be wrong on that one, buddy.
Yeah, in the stats-wise, they have the best defense in the NFL, but it's tough to tell with because they like I said, they're Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to defense. They got these players. Fairley might be out for the rest of the season, so I had to come back on that one after saying that, and then realizing they're the best defense.
All right, let's move on.
Seattle going to Carolina. Seattle winning that game. Very ugly game to watch. Seattle doing what they needed to do to avoid losing 3 straight. Much to say about this game?
Not really. Good last drive by Russell Wilson to lead them to a win, but I don't have much confidence in Seattle right now.
I don't have much confidence in Seattle. Carolina, Cam Newton, 12 for 22, 171 yards, interception. Didn't look much better. Cam Newton's tough to tell what he's going to do when he comes into the game. Seattle scored late to win the game. I mean, it's like you said, it's a big win for Seattle. It's avoiding losing 3 straight. They're still in the playoff hunt. They have the track record to prove it, but a lot of going on in that clubhouse. That's baseball. A lot going on in that locker room. They don't say Marshawn might not be back next year, so we'll see what happens with that team moving forward. Be tough for them to make it back to the Super Bowl, but it always is for the Super Bowl winner. Miami and Jacksonville, 2 subpar teams. Miami going into Jacksonville and taking care of business, doing what they needed to do. What do you got to talk about that?
Not much. Denard looked legit, though.
He
18
did.
from 108. Definitely didn't know if he'd be able to follow up that performance from last week. Blake Bortles, he's just really taking his lumps right now through 2 pick sixes today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they threw him in the fire early as a quarterback who wasn't that great in college. Name came out very late towards the end of the combine. He had the credentials that you need, big quarterback, kind of compared to Ben Roethlisberger at times, but he threw into the fire quick. And like I said, it might have been better to have him wait a year and a half, but you're not going to have him wait when he goes to a team like Jacksonville who doesn't have much chance in the playoffs. So like I said, it's a tough situation for him. Not many weapons as well, but it's tough. So let's drop down. Kansas City did what they needed to do at home against St. Louis, winning 34-7. Similarly to Blake Bortles, Austin Davis had not his best career day. What do you got to talk about this game?
We were definitely wrong about this one. We thought it would be close. Kansas City, they're just rolling right now. Jamal Charles, he looks like he same form as last year. I think KC's a legitimate playoff contender. Outside of that terrible loss week 1 to the Titans, which I don't know if anybody can explain how, because the Titans are just terrible. They're 4-2, and both their 2 losses are coming to San Francisco and Denver by combined 12 points. I think they're a legit team.
They are a good team. They got a good ground game. Jamal Charles and Al Davis combined for 4 touchdowns this week. Jamal Charles was like he's coming back to himself from last year. I said it on last podcast. I thought Jamal Charles would have a big game, prove me right, at least touchdown-wise, yardage-wise. Not the best day of his career, but he did what he needed to help the team out. Did what they needed to do to beat St. Louis. I think we're going to move on from there. Here comes the onslaught of the week. Chicago, I thought this would be a good game. I probably would have picked, with the spread, I would have picked Chicago to cover. What was I think 6 at the time. Yeah, Chicago, I thought they would have covered in New England. New England won 51-23 at home. Tom Brady, what are you in a wind tunnel? Tom Brady, elite, 30 for 35, 354 yards and 5 TDs. Gronkowski coming back to life, proving to me, if not the best, one of the top 2 or top 3 tight ends in the game, along with Julius Thomas and Jimmy Graham. Talk about it, Brent.
Yeah, they just blew him out. Tom Brady looked good. That Bears defense is terrible, especially that secondary. They're great. Brady threw 5 TDs, 350 yards, and Gronk and the new flavor of the month, Brandon LaFell, combined for 20 catches for 273 yards and 4 TDs. Brandon LaFell, called him out last week on my DraftKings. I think he's starting to become Tom Brady's number 1. Who the hell would have ever thought that?
You think LaFell's happy he went from Carolina to New England? Dear
Just
Lord.
a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah, I think he's happy with that. Julian Edelman, my guy I thought would go off this week, did not quite do that well, but the team did what they needed to do. Here's another game was a blowout. I thought it'd be a little closer. Bills won 43-23 going into the Meadowlands against the Jets. Orton, 10 for 17. Not that great stats, but looking at it, 4 touchdowns. Scooby Dixon. Talk about him, Brent.
Oh, great game. 22 carries for 44 yards. Fantasy waiver wire was on fire with him this week. Bet everybody's happy.
All right, is it time for Geno Smith to get the axe, or you think them being out of the playoffs, you give him the chop for the rest of the year?
He's legitimately the worst quarterback I've ever seen. He's terrible.
He's horrible. But,
3 picks in the first quarter.
Yeah, he's bad. But looking at the team as they are right now, not really in the playoff hunt, why give Vic a shot the rest of the year when you know he's not your future? Why not give Geno Smith a shot that maybe come out of the woodwork and show he's a quarterback?
I think they've seen enough from Geno Smith to know that he's not their future either. He's
so
terrible.
Who do they go with the rest of the way? Second half of the season, who do they go with?
Rex Ryan's looking to save his job. I think Michael Vick, as sad as it is, gives him the best chance to win games. Can't win with Geno Smith. Can't do it.
No, can't win with him. Can't do it.
What was that? Mike Singletary, baby.
Yeah, can't win with him. Won't do it. Minnesota at Tampa Bay. We're not going to talk about this game. Minnesota won 19-13 in the end. That was overtime. They won the game.
Was it overtime? I don't think. Was it?
I think they won in overtime.
Oh, that shows how much I cared
They
about
won
that
on a
game.
touchdown in overtime. That's why it was 6 points. Yeah, they won in overtime. Could be wrong. No, I can't be wrong. I've never been wrong before.
Yeah.
I don't know how to be wrong. But yeah, we'll talk about two bad teams. We don't really want to talk about that too much. Two more. Houston winning 30-16 at Tennessee. Talk about this one for a minute, Brent.
Arian Foster, he looks to be back in primetime form, man. 20 carries, 150 yards, had 3 total TDs. J.J. Watt just continues to be the best defensive player in the league, man. He is a beast.
Yeah, like I said, J.J. Watt, probably the best defender in the league. Him or Luke Kuechly, in my opinion, are the two best defenders in the league. So, yeah, Houston did what they needed to do to win. Maintain with Indianapolis Colts, who lost for the AFC South lead. We'll see what happens with that division. That might go down to the wire. Houston looking like they came out of nowhere. What, 2-16?
They're a good team. They just don't have a quarterback.
No, yeah, but they got a good run game. Andre Johnson looks like he's still got some left in the tank. So, and a good defense. So we'll see what that team does looking forward. Moving on, a little AFC North action. Cleveland took care of business at home against Oakland. Oakland looking, 0-6, 0-7 now. Still have not won a game yet this year. Browns are 4-3, looking like a game back of the, or a half game back of the Ravens in the AFC North. What do you think about that?
Those are Browns.
Or a half game back of the Ravens. Half game. That'll be tough. There's no team in the AFC North that has a losing record, or even a tie record yet, or even a 500 record. So that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough going forward. One of the more recent games, you got Philly going into Arizona. This was probably, like we said, the best game of the week on Thursday. It ended up probably doing that, being a great game. Arizona wins at home, goes to 6-1. John Brown with the end of the game, touchdown. What do you got with this game, Brent?
Arizona, man. I said it last week. I thought they were the best team in the NFC, and they proved me right today. That was a tough game. I'm actually very impressed with Philly hanging as tough as they did. But I just think Carson Palmer, he's just having a career revival right now. He's playing very well. He didn't have a good completion percentage today, but he had 329 yards, had 2 TDs. Larry Legend looked good out there today, 7 for 160.
Larry Legend coming back, 7 for 160 and a touchdown. Macklin had a hell of a game, 12 receptions, 187 yards and 2 touchdowns after taking the Gatorade bath right before half, going over the table. He looked like he was good. Nick Foles, two interceptions, kind of sketchy, but it was a good game, a great finish. Two teams that I'm sure we'll see later on in the season in the playoffs, Philadelphia and Arizona. Philadelphia might end up being the wild card team, depending on what Dallas does. So, all around the NFL, anything else you want to talk about? It was a great week.
We got to talk about the last one more game, the surprise of the week. Pittsburgh dropping fucking 51 points on Indy. Who saw that coming?
Yeah, you're right. 51 points on Indy.
Ben threw for 522 yards and 6 TDs. I mean, what the hell? Yep.
And they got a rookie named Martavius Bryant out of Clemson coming out of nowhere, picking up the slack from Marcus Wheaton, who was supposed to be the number 2 receiver after the departure of Emmanuel Sanders. Wheaton did catch a touchdown, had a decent game. The rookie out of Clemson, Martavius Bryant, looking like he is somebody that
I'm going to put you on the spot real quick.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson doesn't count. He's the best receiver in the NFL. Is Antonio Brown the second best?
No.
No?
No. His name
there's
is
a lot of
Julio
good guys.
Jones.
He's up there.
I'd say it's Julio Jones, probably.
I'd probably take Antonio or Jordy Nelson over Julio right now. But Antonio Brown, monster game, 10 for 133 and 2 TDs. He's having a hell of a year this year.
Yeah, Jordy Nelson's good. He's kind of placed into that system. He's a great receiver no matter what team he's on. Not quite a system receiver, but I still think overall
Calvin's white.
Yeah, I do. I hate white people. Calvin's number 1, but number 2 is probably I'd say Julio Jones, given his skill set and size. But like you said, there's probably 5 or 6. Demaryius Thomas, you got to throw into that mix too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. Calvin 1, and the rest kind of 2 through 6 probably are tight. You can probably make an argument for any of them. So yeah, like I said, good game in the NFL. We got one game happening right now. Got the
Packers up 10-7. They just tried a surprise onside kick, didn't get it. Let me ask you a question. I'll give you $1 million if you answer this.
Okay. Well, let me let you guys know real quickly. I'm sitting in the other room. He's got the TV in front of him, watching the game. Well, we're in separate rooms, so we don't have an echo. He's got the TV in front of him, a nice little setup. He's got a computer to his left. I got the microwave in front of me and the back left door to my right.
The
So
back left door. That's good. All right. Aaron Rodgers will know a 3 or 4 yard line. He throws a slant in the end zone. $1 million if you tell me who he threw it to. You got 2 seconds. Just guess.
somebody not big. I'll go John Kuhn.
Julius Peppers.
What?
Yeah. Needless to say, it wasn't completed. They had to kick a field goal.
Oh wow.
All right, let's move on to my favorite segment and Evan's least favorite.
I
We're going to talk
hate
about
it.
a couple Hollywood stories. Just to know, I want to bring Evan into the 21st century a little bit. He doesn't really know what's going on in the world of Hollywood, which is actually probably a good thing. So, we talked about the Honey Boo Boo story the other day. Well, it's official. The show has been canceled. There's pictures on
damn
TMZ. Yeah, I know you're heartbroken. There's pictures on TMZ showing Mama June, Honey Boo Boo, and the child molester all hanging out. But get this. Mama June's daughter came out and said that the child molester molested her. And yet she's still dating her and bringing her around her other kids. What is happening in this world? I just want you to answer that. What's happening?
Come and get us, China. This is just what the hell? I mean, this is why Ebola came to Maryland and came to the entire country. Why do we care about people like this?
Speaking of Ebola.
Let's talk about it. Oh, we got
our next story.
What's her name?
Ariana Grande. She skipped a New York City charity event due to the fear of Ebola. Do you blame her?
I don't know. Ariana Grande coming to.
There's lots of reports out there that she's just a major diva and very hard to deal with.
That's shocking. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen with all people like that. But, I don't know. I guess
don't blame her one bit. She can't.
I don't blame her either. But then you got this person. What's her name? Nina Fammy. I don't know. Family. And that's her name, Nina Pham. She is now.
Horrible.
What did she say?
She's Ebola free. Which is
Ebola free, but now she's trying to sue because she was in quarantine.
I don't think you're right. I think you might have that story mixed up.
No, I have that. I talked to Mr. CNN about that. Charles.
All right, well, yep, your mouth's falling down the stairs right now. So let's move on to the last story in the Hollywood news. It's a good one. It's not new, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it. What do you think about Justin Brent, the freshman wide receiver at Notre Dame, hanging out with Lisa Ann?
Is he related to?
Pretend like you don't know who she is.
Is he related to the Denver Broncos or the Cowboys defensive back defensive tackle that got hit
out of that? Out of it. What do you think about him hanging out with Lisa Ann?
Well, what's wrong with that? If he's 18, he can do what he wants. She's probably like 40s.
Yeah, she's like 42.
If you've seen that picture, he looks like a deer in the headlights. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Well, they actually took a selfie together in bed. So
that was planted there. It was probably a fake backdrop.
Yeah,
he's
interesting to see.
He's
Notre
Catholic.
Dame, they have strict rules.
Yeah, he's Fighting Irish. He's Catholic. He can't be doing that. I'm sure that was just the NCAA will find a way to get on that and make it look like he did nothing wrong. So we'll see where it goes with that. But
all right, let's do
like I said.
Yeah, like you said. Let's do a complete 180. Let's talk about this weekend's college football. Let's get it out of the way first. This one hurt me bad. Maryland. What the hell happened?
It started out from the get-go that Wisconsin went down. Maryland probably had their best drive to start the game.
Yeah.
Went down, ended up not scoring, but they did what they needed to do. Wisconsin came out. Melvin Gordon, like I said earlier, the best running back going against 104th ranked rush defense of the Maryland Terrapins.
That bad of a job for him though, which is surprising. He had a good game, but nothing insane.
Yeah, he found the end zone 3 times, but yeah, like you said, yard wise, he didn't pull a Amir Abdullah or anything like that and go off. But
they were just outclassed. I mean, CJ Brown, he's bad at football. There's no other way you can say it. I mean,
I want to hear what you got to say on this because I know your beliefs on this.
He's in
CJ
college.
Brown,
I mean,
Randy Edsall.
Randy Edsall, he's not that great of a coach. I just can't hate him though. I mean, he's a pretty likable guy. He's trying to do things right. He's just not a good coach. But it's hard to win when you have a quarterback that plays that bad. CJ Brown's not a professional athlete, so I'm not going to trash him the way I would say someone in the pros who plays like that. But It's hard to win when you don't have a quarterback.
No, very frustrating. If Caleb Rowe was healthy, he would have probably started that game.
Yeah.
If not, gone in very, very early after C.J. Brown's early miscues. But with nobody else, really, Perry Hill is not much better than C.J. Brown, if at all. You got to stick with C.J. Brown in that situation. Let's go to another game that made me happy. Yeah, Michigan going to Michigan State. I really thought this was going to be covered. It looked like it covered at the end until Michigan State and Mark D'Antoni decided to run up the score.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
of course you
Michigan,
would.
all those
Of
years
course you
beating
would.
their chest, trying to be the big dogs. Now they're in the dump. I love it.
Michigan, yeah. Well, I don't know who's worse of a quarterback, Devin Gardner or C.J. Brown, because they both are bad.
Yeah,
I talked about it on Thursday. Devin Funchess, he was the tight end. I guess they've changed him to the receiver, technically, but he's going to be top. He's going to be first round pick. He did what he needed to do. But Devin Gardner, you just can't win with it. You can't win with that. You can't win with C.J. Brown. You can't win with Devin Gardner. Michigan State won, covered. Not much more to talk about with that. Michigan just looking to get to next year and see the end of Brady Hoke as a Michigan coach.
All right, let's move on to a game that I thought was going to be a blowout and was well on its way. Ohio State needed 2 overtimes to beat Penn State. They were up 17-0. They were cruising, first half. And then J.T. Barrett, he just threw up all over himself in the second half, threw a pick six. I thought this was a game where he could potentially raise himself into Heisman contender, and he just did the complete opposite. He was terrible.
Absolutely, yep. He did not look good. Christian Hackenberg didn't look good either. So either quarterback didn't prove to be what they needed to do. Ohio State ended up winning, which is all that matters for their draft or for their stock. 13th. They're not looking. I still think Michigan State's probably the best Big Ten team.
It's gonna be a good
but
game.
Ohio State, like you said, it'll be a good game. It'll be a very good game. But I still Michigan State's probably the best team. And Ohio State won in 2 overtimes, so it was a good game. It was a whiteout, like I said, in Penn State. But yeah, it was a good game. Let's move to probably the best game. I thought most fun game to watch. Defensive-minded. Number 3 Ole Miss going to LSU. Number 24 LSU winning 10-7. What do you think?
Ole Miss, they have a great defense, but that offense is just putrid. Bo Wallace had a bad game. They weren't able to run the ball. But, I mean, Coach Freeze at the end, going for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal, not getting his offense on the field right away. I mean, not getting his special teams on the field right away to kick that field goal, getting a delay game. That's just terrible. They had a chance at a 42-yard field goal before the delay game to tie it up. Ended up getting the delay game, then ended up going for it on 4th and long and throwing a pick. Or 3rd and long, I'm sorry.
This is where we disagree.
But
this is where we disagree, because you can blame coaches as much as you want, but it's the players on the field that got to do what they got to do.
Okay,
and
I agree. But at the same time, that coaching decision was bad.
In college, shut E-Town.
Yeah.
In college, if you get the ball past the 1st down, time stops until they set the ball anyway. So we would have time to run the field goal team on.
What made you think
throw
they
the
could
ball
get
past
first
the 1st down marker?
What made you think? The
Well,
whole
if-
game they scored 7
if not, then they still
scored
kick the
for
field goal next.
175 yards.
Okay, so if he doesn't get a 1st down, then you kick the field goal. What's
That's terrible.
What's worse than one more extra try? You got to
Actually, I
trust your
think it was
quarterback
4th
not to
down.
throw it.
I think it was 4th down.
It was 3rd down when they went, and then they went for the field goal. Or no, they got the interception. But they would have had a field goal on 4th down. That's why they had one more try at it. Why not have a free try at it and then go for the field goal on 4th down as you would have done on 3rd down?
You know why you don't have another try at it? Because
Why?
a turnover can happen, and guess what happened?
Yeah. So you got to trust your players. Don't
Turnover.
fear that you have to have trust in your players.
But part of being a
I think
coach is
you-
knowing your players' limitations. Part of
Okay,
knowing
Bo
your
Wallace
personnel.
is probably a top 10. Bo Wallace is a top 10 college quarterback right now. So
Get the fuck out of here. That might be worse than you saying that the Lions don't have a good defense.
believe.
Jesus Christ.
Believe.
Jesus
Believe.
Christ, that's bad. All right, anyway, Leonard Fournette, he looks like a young Adrian Peterson, man. He's a stud. Big physical.
Oh my God.
Future top 5 pick. You know nothing about Leonard Fournette. Number 1 overall high school recruit. Just a stud, man. Ran for 133 yards, I believe it was. LSU for a
What about
team, they
his-
ran
what
for
about his fumble?
264.
What about his fumble? Was that great?
Looks like a young Adrian Peterson. Peterson fumbles. Whew. And last but not
Keep away
least,
from-
college
keep away
football
from kids
before we
then.
move on. I want to talk about Trevon Boykin. What a game. I think it was 7 touchdowns. TCU's dropped 80 points. 80 points on Texas Tech. It's incredible.
Yeah, Yeah, that is unbelievable. I think TCU, what an offense they have. I don't know if they're going to make it to the top four to the college playoffs. That
No, I
remains
don't
to be
think so either.
determined. But they look like a team to beat. What do you think? Can they make it?
No, I don't think a Big 12 is going to get it. I think it's going to be one Big 10, um, two SEC teams, and I think as long as Oregon runs the table, I think they'll get in. Otherwise, if they
think?
lose,
I
TCU
had, I
will
had
get in.
I was listening to the debate earlier today. Do you think you need to win your conference to have a shot to be in the college playoffs? Should that be a prerequisite?
No, because I think a one-loss SEC team is better than a one-loss Big 12 team or Pac-12 team. Because you got to think the locks are Florida State's a lock. If Ohio State or Michigan State win the Big 10, which they will, that's a lock. The SEC winner's a lock. Say Auburn goes 11-1 or Alabama goes 11-1 and they don't win the conference. Would you rather have 11-1 Alabama or 11-1 Oregon or 11-1 Baylor?
I agree that they might be a better team, but shouldn't you have to earn it by winning your
I don't
conference?
think so. I don't think so because SEC
Just
play
like
different
when
games.
just like when LSU beat Alabama, and then Alabama beat them in the national championship. Why did Alabama earn the right to even play
Because they
them
were
in the national
second best team.
championship?
Second best team. You don't
You
think
already
if
beat them
Alabama wasn't in the SEC, they wouldn't win the Pac-12 and automatically be in there? It's not about getting an automatic bid because you win your conference. It's about pinning the four best teams in the playoff and finding out who the best team is.
So if the two best teams in the NFC, why shouldn't one move to the AFC then and play each other in the Super Bowl?
College football is the exact same as the NFL.
It is.
Yeah,
Still football.
keep grasping. All right.
Let's do the what do you want to do? That's what he said?
Yeah, quick recap.
Okay, let's do a quick recap of last week's That's What He Said. We'll recap it again if you didn't listen to last week's podcast on Thursday. We each picked 5 questions to ask each other. Their questions should be like 50-50, yes or no questions. Whoever gets more right wins. Let's go with Brent starting. He asked me, does C.J. Brown make it the whole game versus Wisconsin without missing a play due to injury? I said he made it the whole game, and he did. He did not get injured. He probably should have got injured, but did not. So I got that one. Todd Gurley played the whole weekend. Does he play this weekend? I said no. I was correct. Do Rivers and Manning throw for more or less than 5.5 TDs? That happened Thursday night right after our podcast ended. I said no. They actually did.
6.
And yep, 6. It was 5.5. He did get 6. This is a tricky question. 3 NFC North teams played on the road this weekend. Detroit at Atlanta, in London, Minnesota at Tampa Bay, Green Bay at New Orleans. Do they go at least 2-1? They're 2-0 so far. I said no. Obviously, it's correct. Even if Green Bay does not beat New Orleans right now, I still lose. So that was a good question. There's another game that starts tomorrow. Will DeMarco continue to streak and rush for 100 yards? That has not yet happened. These are questions I asked Brent. We'll go through these very briefly. Will Rodgers and Brees both throw for 300 yards? That's yet to be determined. That game's going on right now. Will Forsett rush for more yards than Lorenzo Taliaferro and Bernard Pierce combined? This is actually a quick topic to talk about. We didn't touch on this with the Ravens. Are you shocked that Bernard Pierce – well, first off, he did rush for more than Taliaferro and Bernard Pierce because Pierce didn't play. Forsett got more than Taliaferro. Are you shocked that Pierce was a healthy scratch?
At first I was, but the more I thought about it, no, because it made sense. I have faith in those two guys running the ball. Pierce isn't bringing anything to the ground game right now. 2.5 to 3 yards a carry? And with Owen Daniels out, they needed all the receivers they could get.
Yeah, I agree, and I think another reason they did it was they wanted to keep him healthy because the trade deadline's on Tuesday. I'm not sure they might want to trade him for a defensive back, especially with Jimmy Smith being hurt. We'll see. We'll talk about it on Thursday, but I think they might want to trade him, maybe get a defensive back or somebody to help
Anything they'll trade a pick.
replenish that defense, the secondary. What was that?
If anything, they'll trade a pick. I don't see them trading Pierce.
Yeah, we'll see. I think something for him because there's a reason for him to be a healthy scratch. So I said yes, or Brent said yes, he will, and he was right. This is yet to happen. Will Colt McCoy throw for a touchdown or at least 200 yards? That's going to be tomorrow night. We'll talk about that on Thursday when we do our next week's That's What He Said. Stephon Diggs, 125 yards receiving or 75 yards rushing.
Zippy. Neither of the two.
Yeah,
Diggs only had
he
one
did
catch.
nothing. He did nothing. You said
Well,
yes.
it's hard to do something when you have a 9-10 level quarterback throwing to you.
Yeah, he did horrible. I mean, C.J. Brown was doing bad. Stephon Diggs did have 2 drops, but like I said, it's tough when you have a quarterback not doing well with you. So, will Devin Gardner have more rush yards versus Michigan State this week than Devin Gardner versus the Dolphins? Devin Gardner, I don't think he even suited up this week. He just did horrible versus Michigan State. Absolutely horrible. Denard Robinson, we already talked that earlier, went off on the ground. Did not find pay dirt, but he got many more rushing yards than Devin Gardner, so you had that right. So both of us have a couple games left, but that was fun. It's our first week of That's What He Said. We had fun doing it. With a couple games left to be determined. We'll do a new set on Thursday. Next week we talked about it. We won't include Sunday night or Monday night games. That way we can be finished with it before we go on air on Sunday night to debate it. So, but like I said, this is a trial process. We're learning. We're having fun while we do it, and we're glad you guys are listening. Anything you want to talk about with that, or anything you want to get to before we talk briefly on the World Series?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Very talkative over there. World Series talk. We'll listen to it a little bit earlier. The World Series, Madison Bumgarner has the 3 career World Series starts. In those 3 career World Series starts, he is 3-0 with a .41 ERA, 3-1 this year in the postseason. He's pitching tonight, so he'll be able to pitch tonight, and maybe if it goes to Game 7, be able to pitch, maybe not start, but maybe go long relief in that Game 7 if needed. I think they win that. I think they lose Game 6 and they win Game 7. I think that's how they're going to do it.
They're up 1-0 right now in the 4th inning.
Oh, they are? Okay. So you're in front of the TV. I'm not. I'm in front of the microwave. So got a little different views with us right now.
Bumgarner's just a beast, man.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I think they will see him in Game 7 if it gets that far. I think they win in Game 7. That's my humble prediction. But a little bit on the ratings. I always find this interesting. The ratings were down in Game 1 or in this World Series at all, and that's not surprising with the Royals and who aren't a big media ground, and the Giants, who are West Coast, don't bring that much to the table, even though they are perennial World Series contenders as well as NLCS contenders. In Game 1, they had 12 million viewers. That's half of what they had for the World Cup, U.S. versus Portugal. That's not too surprising. I mean, it's interesting to think about, but not too surprising. A couple more things very quickly. Although we talk about that, they are up in the dollars. MLB made $9 billion this year. That's up from last year and a couple years before that as well. So even though ratings are down for the World Series, the whole year in general, they have more fans this year than the past couple years. Overall, they look like the fans up, even though the World Series is down. But that's not to be surprised with NFL on college football and not big media-based markets in the postseason. I am looking forward, hopefully, for a rubber match. Like I said, Game 7 would be fun to see. It has not been a rubber match yet in the LDSs or the LCSs. It's pretty much been blowout series. There's Game 4 in the NLDS was as close as you're going to get. Hopefully, there's a Game 7. Nothing better than a World Series Game 7. So hopefully that happens. Anything you want to touch on with the World Series? Any of your predictions or whatnot?
Not really. I'm still bitter about the Orioles losing. I hope the Royals lose. I can't stand them.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I hope the Royals lose. If they didn't play the Orioles, I would be rooting for the Royals. But just how they played the Orioles and they got cocky, and I don't want to see them win. I like to see the Giants win. I like Hunter Pence. I want to see Bumgarner do well. So we talked about the World Series. We'll talk about that again on Thursday because that will be wrapped up. We'll have a little brief overview on the Major League season, talk about the Orioles next year, what we're looking forward to next year, maybe some of the signings because there's a lot to talk about this year in the offseason as far as the Orioles are concerned. We'll play GM and talk about if we can get Markakis, Cruz, Andrew Miller, talk about Matt Wieters and Chris Davis. We had a lot to talk about with the Orioles. So just because we're not talking about them that much right now, there's a lot going on in the NFL and college football world. So we'll save that for next week. What do you want to talk about, Brent? What do DraftKings?
Yeah, we can recap the DraftKings. Last week we gave you guys our optimal lineups. As of right now, Evan is currently beating me by a handily margin. He looks like he's going to hang on. He has 155.68 points with 104 minutes left for his players, and I only have 135.86. So
no, I don't think anyone's shocked right now listening to that. I picked the team well.
Yep, you definitely predicted Ben throwing for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's a good call. Props on that one.
Yep, Cobb over Jordy.
Yep.
Time to break out. But like I said, DraftKings is fun. It's fun to do stuff like that. We didn't do it for money this week. We did it just to kind of compare each other's stats. We do enough fantasy drafts together. So, but it's interesting to see how that goes. We'll do it again on Thursday. We'll pick teams and see how they go next week. We'll keep a running tally as well as the That's What He Said segment. And like I said, what do you want to talk about?
We got to take our lumps.
Yep.
Our locks of the week. 0-4.
Bad. 0-4.
No, I should have stuck with my gut. I had 2 picks that I wanted to go with. I changed them up. Bad move. I'm not going to talk about them because it just makes me look like a loser. But I went with Detroit versus Atlanta. Detroit shit the bed in the first half. They came back to win the game, but they didn't cover the 3.5. And Ohio State was cruising up 17-0. Ended up winning by 7. Didn't cover their spread as well. So that makes it 0-2 for me this week. What about you, Evan?
Yeah, like I said, I had my college football lock was Michigan plus 17.5 at Michigan State. They had it locked after their touchdown, the 2-point conversion with 2 minutes left, and I thought that they were down by 17. And I thought that covered, and then Michigan State ran off the score and scored. But it's tough to argue run off the score because you're on defense. As Bill Parcells once said, "What do you want me to coach their team as well?" I understand they're both good teams, and it's tough to run off the score because.
But yeah, you got hoard big time on that one. I'm sure a lot of money was lost in Vegas in that, and a lot of people are.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So I thought I was going to win that, and then about 3 hours ago, I was watching. I had Philly, the Eagles, as a plus 2.5 dog at Arizona, and they were up until the bomb to John Brown. So I thought I had that one too. I thought it was easily going to be 2-0. That's how quick the tides turn, and the Cardinals came back to win, and I went 0-2 in my locks this week. But it was a rough week. It was a rough week all in general for Maryland sports, as well as my fantasy.
It happens. Yep.
It was going to happen, but it was fun doing this second podcast. We had one on Thursday. We'll be back with you guys on next Thursday. We'll probably around 7, 8 o'clock have it uploaded around 10 for you guys previewing next week's, which is week 9, I believe. Week 9 in the NFL.
Crazy. Time is flying by.
Yep, week 9 in the NFL is next week. Or Ravens going to Pittsburgh. Like we said, must win if you want to win the division.
Rivalry week, baby.
Big week. Big week.
Must win, in my opinion, at least.
So, anything you want to say before I wrap this puppy up?
Nope.
All right, so next week we'll see you guys. We'll have it on the air around 10 o'clock. Thanks for listening to us. We had a blast again. Trying to work out the kinks a little better this week than last week, and next week will be better than this week. Looking forward to talking with you guys Thursday. We'll have our locks of the week. That's what he said.
Make sure to bet against us.
Yep. We'll wrap up the MLB season. Talk about the World Series briefly. The Orioles looking forward to 2015 and much more. Can't wait to talk with you guys again. Thanks for listening.
Peace.